The Galactic Empire stretched across the stars like a leviathan, its grasp choking the life from countless worlds. It prided itself on unchallenged authority, a machine of dominance fueled by arrogance and indifference. To the Empire, humanity was a mere curiosity, a fledgling species confined to its small pocket of the galaxy. Reports of Earth's rapid technological progress were dismissed as exaggerations, and the Terrans themselves were deemed insignificant, too primitive to matter in the grand scheme of galactic politics. On the outer edges of Imperial-controlled space, Terra Colony, a settlement established by humans in peaceful exploration, thrived. The settlers were farmers, scientists, and dreamers, people who sought to build a life under the vast alien skies. Yet, their quiet existence did not escape the Empire's notice. A patrol ship descended one fateful day, its shadow stretching over the colony as an omen of destruction. The accusation was absurd. Terra Colony was accused of mining resources without authorization, a blatant fabrication designed to justify the Empire's heavy hand. The colonists protested, their voices trembling but determined. They pleaded for reason, for understanding. The Imperial commander, a cold figure of bureaucracy, ignored their words. Orders were barked, weapons were armed, and chaos erupted. In the midst of the confusion, a child, a bright-eyed girl who had been playing near the settlement's perimeter, was caught in the crossfire. Her laughter, moments ago a melody of innocence, was silenced in an instant. The colonists screamed, rushing to her side, but it was too late. Her small, lifeless form became a symbol of everything the Empire stood for: unchecked cruelty and callous disregard for life. The commander did not so much as glance down, issuing a curt dismissal before the patrol ship ascended, leaving behind nothing but despair. The cries of Terra Colony echoed into the void, carried across encrypted channels to Earth. When the message reached home, it was as if the entire planet held its breath. The story of the child's death, of the colony's anguish, spread like wildfire. Images of the settlement, the broken families, the grieving parents were broadcast across every human network. Anger surged through humanity's collective veins, and grief turned to an unyielding demand for justice. The Terran Unified Government convened within hours. World leaders stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces grim, their resolve unshaken. They spoke not as politicians, but as representatives of a wounded species. "This cannot stand," one declared, their voice steady despite the fury within. "The Empire has shown us who they are. Now we will show them who we are." The declaration of war was swift, unanimous, and resolute. No diplomatic overtures, no appeals for peace, just a promise. A promise that humanity would not rest until justice was delivered. Across Earth and its colonies, a unifying spirit emerged. Differences were set aside as billions of humans rallied behind the cause. But amidst the outrage and grief, there was something else, a glimmer of determination that hinted at Earth's hidden strength. Military leaders met in secret, their discussions shielded from prying eyes. There were whispers of fleets in orbit, sleek vessels built not for exploration, but for war. Factories on Mars roared to life, churning out weapons of unthinkable power. And deep within classified bunkers, plans long considered theoretical were dusted off and refined. The ordinary citizen knew little of what lay in humanity's arsenal, but they didn't need to know. It was enough to feel the undercurrent of confidence, the assurance that Earth had been preparing for such a moment. Not out of paranoia, but out of an understanding that one day, the galaxy would test humanity. That day had come. A single message was broadcast back to the Galactic Empire. It was short, precise, and carried the weight of an entire species behind it. Humanity will not forgive, and we will never forget. The Terran Unified Military, or TUM, was the backbone of Earth's defense, an unparalleled force forged through centuries of innovation and necessity. It wasn't just a collection of fleets or armies. It was humanity's resolve made manifest. The pride of the organization was its diversity, a reflection of Earth itself. Every nation, culture, and background was represented, standing united under a single banner. It was a unity born of shared purpose, the kind of solidarity that had allowed humanity to overcome its own divisions long before venturing into the stars. At the heart of TUM was its triad of might: the space fleets, the ground forces, and the elite special operatives. The fleets were vast, a constellation of vessels designed for every conceivable scenario. From hulking dreadnoughts bristling with weapons to nimble fighters that danced between enemy fire, the fleet symbolized humanity's command of the void. The ground forces, meanwhile, were unmatched in their adaptability. Soldiers equipped with state-of-the-art exosuits could operate in any environment, from the icy plains of Europa to the stormy deserts of alien worlds. And then there were the operatives, shadowy figures whose training and equipment were the stuff of legend. They moved like ghosts, striking with precision and vanishing before the enemy could react. As the gears of war turned, the TUM's high command convened in a hidden bunker deep beneath Earth's surface. The room hummed with tension and purpose, illuminated by holographic displays of the galaxy. Around the table sat humanity's finest strategists, veterans who had spent lifetimes preparing for a moment like this. They studied the Empire's territories, its weaknesses, and its arrogance. "This isn't just retaliation," one of them declared, their voice cutting through the room like a blade. "This is about sending a message. The Empire must understand that humanity will not be trifled with, and they will never forget us again." The plan that emerged was as audacious as it was ruthless. It wasn't enough to fight the Empire head-on. Humanity would outthink them, outmaneuver them, and dismantle their power structure piece by piece. The strategies employed were a testament to human ingenuity, drawing on asymmetric tactics that turned the Empire's size and complacency into vulnerabilities. Small, stealth-capable units would infiltrate key targets, disrupting supply lines and communications. Simultaneously, precision strikes would cripple critical installations, leaving the Empire scrambling in disarray. Technology was the great equalizer. Earth's scientists had outdone themselves, creating tools of war that bordered on science fiction. The ships were equipped with cloaking devices that rendered them invisible to most sensors, and advanced AI systems coordinated entire fleets with a level of efficiency the Empire could scarcely comprehend. Ground forces wielded weapons that combined raw power with precision, plasma rifles that could punch through the toughest armor, drones that acted as both scouts and shields, and exosuits that enhanced strength and reflexes to superhuman levels. There were rumors, too, of special weapons, prototypes kept so secret that even most TUM officers weren't privy to their existence. Whispers spoke of devices capable of disrupting gravitational fields, rendering enemy fleets helpless. Others speculated about bioweapons designed to incapacitate without killing, a stark contrast to the Empire's indiscriminate brutality. Whatever these weapons were, their mere mention inspired a mixture of awe and trepidation. As the preparations reached their crescendo, Earth issued its final demand to the Galactic Empire. It was a chance, slim as it was, for the Empire to acknowledge its crimes and prevent the coming storm. The message was met with silence, followed by a curt dismissal from the Imperial Council. To them, humanity's rage was a temporary nuisance, a flame that would soon extinguish itself. On Earth, the rejection was met with grim resolve. The time for diplomacy had passed. Across the planet, soldiers prepared for the battles ahead. Families gathered for tearful goodbyes, each word laced with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Engineers worked around the clock, calibrating weapons and running final diagnostics. Training intensified, every move practiced, until it became second nature. In the quiet moments, there was reflection. Soldiers stared at photographs of loved ones, a reminder of what they were fighting for. Commanders reviewed their plans, knowing the stakes of every decision. There was no room for doubt, no margin for error. This wasn't just a war. It was humanity's stand, a declaration that Earth would not bow to oppression. Every preparation, every moment, carried the weight of an unspoken promise. Whatever came next, humanity would meet it head-on, not with fear, but with the unyielding determination that had brought them this far. In the cold vastness of space, an Imperial patrol fleet cruised near the Sol system, its massive ships cutting through the void like leviathans. Complacent and unaware, the fleet carried out routine scans, their captains confident that no force in this sector could challenge them. They were wrong. Without warning, Earth's fleet emerged from the blackness, shrouded in the eerie silence of space. The ships didn't announce their arrival. There was no time for grandiose declarations or formalities. Humanity struck with precision, every move calculated, every second optimized. Stealth technology had rendered their fleet invisible until it was too late. The Imperial ships found themselves surrounded, boxed in by vessels they hadn't even detected. The attack began with surgical strikes aimed at the fleet's command ships. Terran fighters, sleek and agile, weaved through enemy fire with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. Swarms of drones accompanied them, each armed with devastating payloads that bypassed shields and targeted vital systems. The coordination was flawless, as if the entire fleet moved as a single organism. Artificial intelligence and human intuition worked in harmony, a blend of machine efficiency and human ingenuity that overwhelmed the Imperial forces. Despite their superior numbers, the Imperial fleet faltered. Their bulky ships, designed for brute force, were ill-suited for the rapid, precise maneuvers of Earth's forces. One by one, their vessels were disabled or destroyed, their hulking forms reduced to floating wreckage. The Terrans exploited every weakness, hacking into Imperial systems to disable weapons, jamming communications to sow chaos, and using the enemy's own weapons against them. It was a masterclass in asymmetric warfare, a demonstration of how the underestimated could bring giants to their knees. Amid the chaos, an Imperial captain barked orders, his voice tinged with panic. "Who are these Terrans? How are they doing this?" His words went unanswered as his ship's systems shut down, overridden by a virus planted by Terran operatives. Moments later, the vessel erupted in a fiery explosion, its destruction marking yet another victory for humanity. The tenacity of the Terran fleet was unmatched. Every soldier, every pilot fought as if the weight of humanity rested on their shoulders. For them, it wasn't just a battle, it was personal. They weren't merely fighting for survival. They were fighting for justice, for the child whose death had ignited this war, and for every human who had ever been dismissed by the Empire as insignificant. As the last Imperial ship was neutralized, the battlefield grew eerily quiet. Debris drifted in the void, the remnants of what had once been a formidable Imperial fleet. Terran ships, untouched and resolute, gathered in formation. It was a sight that spoke volumes. Earth was not a force to be underestimated. From the lead Terran vessel, a broadcast was sent across the galaxy, directed at the Empire. The message was simple, unembellished, and carried the weight of 1,000 years of human determination. This is just the beginning. You made this war. Now face the consequences. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. On the Empire's capital world, the High Council convened in an emergency session. The holographic display of the decimated patrol fleet hung over the chamber, casting a grim light on the gathered officials. For the first time, their arrogance wavered. The Terrans, whom they had dismissed as a minor annoyance, had dealt a blow that could not be ignored. The Council's murmurs grew louder, their fear palpable. "They've destroyed an entire fleet," one counselor said, disbelief lacing their voice. "With minimal losses. This is no rebellion. This is war." Despite the evidence, some remained defiant. "They are a small species," another countered. "Their bravado will be their downfall. We will crush them." But others weren't so sure. The Terran fleet had proven itself capable of strategies and tactics the Empire hadn't anticipated. Their technology, once dismissed as primitive, now posed a genuine threat. The realization that humanity wasn't just retaliating, they were planning something far greater, began to sink in. Yet, even in their fear, the Empire underestimated Earth. They viewed the first strike as an anomaly, a desperate attempt by a fledgling species to strike back. What they failed to grasp was that this was only the opening act. Humanity had shown its hand, but the cards they held were far more numerous and dangerous than the Empire could imagine. Humanity's campaign against the Galactic Empire began in earnest with a precision and relentlessness that left no room for recovery. The first coordinated strikes targeted the Empire's military and governmental strongholds across multiple star systems. In one synchronized effort, Earth's forces disabled critical shipyards, obliterated communication hubs, and neutralized command centers. The galaxy, once dominated by the Empire's overconfidence, now found itself witness to a rising force determined to rewrite its history. Terran fleets executed their attacks with surgical precision. In orbit above one Imperial stronghold, a flotilla of cloaked Terran ships emerged, launching a wave of plasma torpedoes that bypassed the enemy's shields. Fighters descended into the fray, their pilots executing complex maneuvers that left Imperial defenders scrambling to react. The massive orbital defenses, built to intimidate, crumbled under the onslaught, their hulking forms reduced to drifting wreckage. Terran commanders didn't just rely on brute strength. They used their intellect, exploiting every weakness and adapting to every scenario. On the ground, Terran soldiers conducted planetary sieges with a level of discipline and strategy that underscored their preparedness. Exosuited infantry advanced methodically, backed by tactical drones that provided real-time battlefield intelligence. Human ingenuity shone brightest in their ability to turn the Empire's own infrastructure against it. On one planet, a strike team infiltrated a fortress city, using its power grid to overload the Imperial defenses, leaving the enemy blind and vulnerable to an overwhelming assault. But even in war, humanity held itself to a higher standard. Terran forces targeted only military and governmental installations, avoiding civilian areas whenever possible. Their strikes were calculated, designed to minimize unnecessary loss of life. When an Imperial commander ordered a city to be scorched to deny the Terrans a foothold, Earth's forces intercepted the attack, saving countless lives. It was a stark contrast to the Empire's own methods, which relied on fear and indiscriminate destruction. For humanity, this wasn't just about winning a war, it was about proving they could fight without losing their soul. This moral stance did not go unnoticed. Across the galaxy, species long oppressed by the Empire began to take notice of Earth's actions. For centuries, these civilizations had suffered under the Empire's yoke, their rebellions crushed, their hope extinguished. But Earth's defiance reignited something that had been dormant, the will to fight. On a mining world enslaved by the Empire, a rebellion erupted when news of Earth's victories reached the workers. Armed with tools and resolve, they rose against their overseers, holding out just long enough for Terran forces to arrive. What followed was a joint operation. Terran soldiers fought alongside the newly liberated workers, turning the tide against the Imperial garrison. Scenes like this played out across the Empire's territories, as humanity's campaign inspired others to rise up. The message was clear. Earth wasn't just fighting for itself, it was fighting for everyone. In the midst of the growing alliance, Terrans worked to foster unity. On one liberated planet, a Terran officer addressed a gathering of various alien species. "We stand together because we believe in the same thing," they said. Freedom, justice, a future where no one lives in fear. It was a sentiment that resonated deeply, and the alliances forged in these moments became the foundation of a coalition that began to challenge the Empire's dominance. The Empire, meanwhile, found itself on the defensive for the first time in centuries. Its fleets, once symbols of unassailable power, were now fragmented and overextended. Imperial governors pleaded for reinforcements that never came, their cries drowned out by the growing chaos. The High Council, desperate to stem the tide, resorted to measures that highlighted their desperation. Superweapons, long hidden in the Empire's arsenal, were unleashed. On a distant frontier world, a planet-killer dreadnought arrived, its purpose clear: to end the rebellion with one devastating act. But the Terrans were ready. A fleet of Earth's fastest and most heavily armed ships intercepted the weapon before it could fire, exploiting its slow targeting systems to disable it with surgical strikes. As the dreadnought erupted in a catastrophic explosion, humanity sent a clear message: no amount of firepower would break their resolve. Despite the Empire's increasingly desperate tactics, the momentum was unmistakable. Territory after territory slipped from their grasp. Once loyal governors defected, alien species joined the resistance, and the Empire's infrastructure buckled under the weight of constant attacks. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Empire was learning what it meant to face an enemy that refused to be intimidated, an enemy that fought not just for revenge, but for a better galaxy. The fleet loomed over the Empire's capital planet, its colossal ships casting long shadows across the glittering skyline below. The Empire had concentrated its remaining forces here, surrounding the world with countless warships in a desperate bid to hold the heart of their power. It was a fortress, bristling with defenses, but the Terran fleet didn't waver. They had come to end this war, and they would not turn back. The battle erupted with ferocious intensity. The Empire's fleet vastly outnumbered Earth's forces, yet the Terrans fought with a precision and ingenuity that turned the odds in their favor. Advanced cloaking systems allowed entire wings of Earth's ships to bypass enemy lines undetected, launching devastating surprise attacks on key targets. AI-assisted command systems coordinated the movements of hundreds of vessels, ensuring that every strike hit its mark. The Empire's superweapons fired massive energy bursts that tore through space, but the Terrans countered with unmatched adaptability. One Earth frigate, using advanced propulsion, outmaneuvered a blast intended to destroy their flagship and retaliated with a missile barrage that shattered the enemy's firing array. Human pilots, outnumbered and outgunned, flew with a fearlessness that seemed almost reckless. But it wasn't recklessness, it was resolve. On the planet's surface, the final act of Earth's plan was unfolding. A Terran Special Ops team infiltrated the Imperial Palace, moving through its labyrinthine halls with practiced stealth. The team was handpicked, each member a master of their craft, equipped with tools that rendered them invisible to detection systems. Their mission wasn't to assassinate or destroy. It was to deliver a message, a testament to humanity's strength and moral authority. As they reached the throne room, the Emperor sat waiting, his once imposing figure now marked by a thin veneer of fear. The leader of the team stepped forward, holding a data crystal encoded with Earth's demands. "You thought us weak," they said, their voice calm but firm. "You thought you could kill our children and face no consequence. But we are here not to conquer, but to ensure that justice is served. Your time is over." The Emperor, his defiance faltering, hesitated. The weight of the Terran assault bore down on him, each word spoken a reminder of the Empire's crumbling reign. Finally, with his forces in shambles and the galaxy rising against him, he surrendered. As news of the Empire's defeat spread, the galaxy erupted in celebration. On liberated planets, once slaves cast down the banners of the Empire and raised their own symbols of freedom. Terran ships landed in cities that had suffered under Imperial rule, greeted by cheering crowds of aliens who now saw humanity not as conquerors, but as liberators. The spark Earth had ignited had turned into a fire, one that would reshape the galaxy forever. In the aftermath, humanity did not gloat. The leaders of the Terran Unified Government addressed the galaxy from a neutral star system, speaking not as victors, but as equals. "We did not come here to replace one tyranny with another," the Terran president declared. "We came to ensure that no species must suffer as we have. Together, we will rebuild. Together, we will create a future where justice is not a privilege, but a right for all." Scenes of hope unfolded. Humans working alongside alien allies to restore cities, heal the wounded, and lay the foundations for a new era. Terran engineers shared technology freely, helping planets rebuild their infrastructure. Soldiers who had once fought side by side now shared stories, their camaraderie bridging species and cultures. But even in victory, there was loss. On Earth, families welcomed home soldiers with tears of joy, while others stood at memorials, mourning those who would not return. Rows of photographs and names honored the fallen, a stark reminder of the cost of freedom. One soldier knelt before a child's grave on Terra Colony, a silent vow made in their memory. Never again. As the last Terran ship departed the Empire's former capital, a single transmission echoed across the galaxy, sent from Earth to all who would listen. Humanity fights not for conquest, but for justice. And we will never forget